From Bugoma, Gongwa, MONBASA, MVITA, Julius Caesar's Welfare Society. It was a juggernaut when it still lasted. It spanned from Scotland to India. It was the mighty Roman Empire. A general so successful that they wanted him to be a dictator for life had come back from the Gaul campaign. This was Julius Caesar, a mighty warrior. He defeated the Gauls, whom we call nowadays the French, and he was coming back a victor. The system was at its best. Everything was working. And the Roman empires, citizens, if you are not in the army, it was the time to live like a champion, like the winners they were. Free food, brought from Africa, North Africa, brought from other parts of Europe, brought from Asia. They were given free rations every day. You don't have to buy anything. Free games in the arenas, the theaters and the amphitheaters. They had games. When we talk of games, we talk of the games for that time where they enjoyed watching were real horrific things. Because in the morning, there was a session where criminals, including the criminals called Christians, and other people would be sacrificed. Or there would be a show where they fight against wild animals with weapons, defending their families. If you are able to kill the animal, you will be let go. But if you are not, you are eaten by the animals and people cheered. Then there were the gladiators. And you could even have naval wars, because the amphitheaters had been made in certain way that they would be filled like a swimming pool. You would have two opposing armies of slaves, people captured and all that, fight a real war. You see a real naval war. No movies, people dying for real. That was Rome. And then in the evenings, after you have seen everything, you will go to the gym. They had the gyms. And then you will go to the public bath. Warm water heated from below. You relax in warm water as you share the happenings of the day. That is where the senator and the other leaders would also go to meet the people, because there was patronage. They want campaign, just like we have politicians now. What do we do for these people? You would discuss issues at that time. That was the apex of the Roman Empire. A leader who had come from war was in charge of the government. This was a warrior, a Caesar. Caesar was the leadership status. He was called Julius Caesar. Caesar is a title. And when he came back from Gaul, he ensured that the Romans had each and everything in plenty. In plenty. Yours is to wake up, there are ratios for food, and then you got to watch the games. And because you can be called upon at any time when the army has got problems to rise, you go to the gym and you relax. There was a lot of food, everything. Slaves cook for you. A comfortable life. But with that happening, the empire became too big to manage. And in the empires, people started rebelling, because unlike the past, in the beginning, the Roman Empire would assimilate you. It swallows you. You become part of the Roman citizen. You enjoy everything that was in the Roman kingdom. But now things have changed. Instead of doing that, they were enslaving people. So the areas that had been captured started rebelling. The empire could not be able to hold the welfare society, social, where you give everything for free. And it resulted into the collapse, the starting of the collapse of the Roman Empire. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the systems we got. Like, I will give an example with what I know. In the Kenyan system, when we were few, people went to college without paying. In fact, you are given some pocket money in college. People went to university without paying. They could get some pocket money. We would go to hospitals without paying. The government was able to pay. But as things went by and people started changing, this is happening worldwide, privatization and all that, a man became a self-sustaining, self-caring entity, not minding about what is happening. Grab everything to yourself, privatize everything, do everything that you can, don't mind about the masses. Situations started cropping up. America, the industrial country that had plenty of work, nowadays they're jobless people. Europe, jobless people. Africa, jobless people. Why is this happening? Because we became selfish. We've grabbed everything for ourselves. And now the system that was being maintained by these things that we have grabbed for ourselves can no longer sustain itself because all these monies go to individuals. What used to happen that time was that many of these things that have been privatized, where we call it true capitalistic states, has ceased to go to the government. It goes to individuals. The people are so stingy, they keep every money in different places in the form of investments and whatever. So the very governments that were getting this money to use it for their people can no longer access the money. There is lack of money due to greed. 2, there is also dissuasion from innovation. When things are happening like that, everything you innovate will go against somebody's investment. So people have gotten tight. For instance, I'm not a drunkard, but I'm going to talk of things that happen. You find people import whiskey from some countries, and then there is, they call it moonlight whiskey or waragi and whatever, things like that, that are brewed in the local countries. What happens? The other one becomes illegal. The other one that has been imported, same product, becomes legal. So a person is chased for this other thing and still is able to consume the other thing at an expensive price where money goes to outside places. Individuals have monopolized everything. They are owning everything, so small competitors cannot enter the market. What happens? Few individuals access everything, but majority of the people cannot be able to access anything. There's no job creation because where you would have created jobs, they have been taken by individuals. So they have taken everything, they're not employing you, you are left wandering. And that has led to what we are having. People running from one country thinking they are going for greener pastures in other places, only to end up in similar situations, because what the system is doing in where you are running from is what the system is doing to where you are going to. So you find yourself in a quagmire. You've left here saying you're going abroad maybe for job employment. We've had cases. You go to places where you go to torture, earning almost less than what you would have earned here. So why is it that we would prefer to own everything and then leave the very people that we being leaders, we being whatever, I'm not of that name, I'm talking of those in those positions, are able to, busy complaining that they are trying to solve the very problems that they are making. Homegrown solutions means you allow innovation, you allow room also for people to rise. Because if you own everything, they cannot rise. What will they? And everything they try to rise up with is illegal because it's competing against your very own products. The very own things that were earning the government's money have become yours, so they cannot get the very same government's money. So the next thing is go for borrowed money. Let's do soul searching as human beings around the world. Let's have humanity in us. We talked about religions. I said faith. Faith is the most important thing because we have gone through histories and you find quagmires. Every part is missing. Nobody can claim to be perfect in religion. You've gone through them. So faith takes everything. Faith surpasses everything. Allow me to quote what the Bible says. It talks of the last days. But the last days may be the changing of the baptism like we have now. We never know. Or there will be the last days. Let's talk of the last days. It says, man will be lovers of self. Lovers of money. They will be wild. That's what's happening. You know what might happen to this system if you don't change? Those that are of the law cadres, eventually, when you suppress them and you have everything that you think, plans that maybe if this happens, we can create a military or a police state all over the world, you may also be in for a shock. Because they say, there was a reggae musician in Jamaica who sang, a hungry man is an angry man. It reaches a time, a level when doing anything is better than not doing anything because you will still die. This is a recipe for revolutions, a recipe for violence. Please, let's do soul searching. Let's have what we can have and also leave some for our countries and for our people and for innovation. Let's remember that even if we are rulers, even if we are traders, even it's not the winner takes it all, because it may bounce back on you. It comes a time when people now join together. There was a revolt in Sicily, the same Roman Empire, where slavery had had enough and they revolted. And it was a big revolt. So, for the stability and the sustenance of the peace worldwide, world governments across, this is not a country thing, this is a systematic thing. That's why in the previous videos, I know there are those who saw, we call it genge music or gang music. I explained what gang is. And there were young musicians, now they have matured. They were singing, this is a system of robbers, thugs. Hii ni system ya majambas. It is the system that we are breeding. Because what's going to happen is that if we can't sustain, then people will fight for survival. And sometimes it becomes so radical that they decide, let's spoil everything. Others cannot enjoy when we are suffering. So let's strike a balance. Nationalize what you can nationalize, but also leave for the public what will give them sustenance. That is the only way that you can enhance everlasting peace, everlasting unity. That's my take for now. I may be wrong. That is what I think. That is my personal opinion. Personal. I'm not attacking anybody, I'm not attacking, but it's a system that is working worldwide. There are times when people blame other races. I've seen in Europe people blaming immigrants for coming, taking their jobs, in Asia, in some other countries. You may be partially right, but also it may not be the only problem. Where they are also coming from, the system has treated them roughly. It is treating you roughly. When they appear here, they appear to be the causes of the problem, but they are not the cause of the problem. The problem is the world system. Let's do soul searching. Let's change the system. Let's change the world. Don't just sit by. At least say a word. The Quran says, if you can stop it, stop it. If you cannot, talk against it. Speak. Let your voice be heard. That's my take for now.